Flosstube, it's Helen D. I thought we would do a little finish with me today. I've been working on these little ornaments and I have a few left to go and thought I'll just make one with you guys in case people have questions about how I'm doing it. So these are from Hands-On Design. The light was right on it. Beach Please. This was released last year. It's a set of, there's 15 little smalls. And they're small. They're 17 by 17 that you can either do all as one. Kathy Haberman did some on perforated paper in a shadow box. What I decided to do was to do them on perforated paper and then finish them on these Pennant banners. I've picked up a metal tree from Hirschner's. I can't show it here, so what I will do is at the end of this video I'll have all these hung on my tree and I'll insert either some pictures or some video to kind of show you the tree and show you how they look on the tree. So these little pennants I bought on Etsy from Pearl and Pine, P-E-R-L-E and Pine, and it's the shop name is all one word. This is their 2.5 inch pennant, and I think that's 2.5 inches this way. I emailed her, I messaged her and said, hey, I've got this thing. I did the math on what 17 by 17 would be. I think it came out to like 1.5 inches. Would that fit, you know, between this hole and the base of this? So I knew what size to get. And she came right back and said, yep, I would get this size. So this is what I did. And as you can see, they fit perfectly. So that's where I ordered these. I will link them below. They were very inexpensive. I painted them. I painted 4 of them white, and my painting could use a little work, but good enough. I'm sorry, Emmy is over there in her cat tunnel going crazy. I used the chalk paint, folk art chalk paint. I used Cottage white and Patina were the 2 colors that I used. And then I put a glaze on them. This is the one I happen to have. Is this Waverly glaze. So I glazed them, painted them, and then for the hangers, I decided to just make some cording. I tried a few different things before I found out what worked. I tried to do a square knot, like a nautical square knot, but then you have 2 pieces, you know, of cording, and it was too much. It was too bulky. This is what I ended up doing. So what I did for those, I have a cone, but I took 25 inches of the full 6 ply right off my cone. I took a 25-inch strip, then I measured that, so I had 4 25-inch strips, and that's what I used to make my cording. You know, you tie one together, you loop the other one through, and then I use the cording tool to make my cording. And this is about what I came up with my 25 inches, and it's perfect. So the knotted end does not fit through these holes, but that's okay because the other end does. So I went just through one side. I wanted mine so that it hangs on the front. You could just twist it around and it would go the other way and hang on the back if you don't want to see it. So I just poked it through both sides, pulled them up the same length, and then when I was tying my knot, I gotta figure out where you guys are. I want them all to hang around the same length, so I put one of them down. The first one I just tied to what I thought it would look good at, and then for all the rest of them, I made a knot, but before I pulled it tight, I laid it right on top of one of the others so that I could try to get my knots. I'm sure you can hear her. For some reason, she chose this moment to go to town. So I can try and get my knots around the same size. So I just made a good knot. Then I went in with my little snips and just snipped off the ends and chucked those away. I tied the strings on first so that I could really know where to put my piece. So for the actual stitching, I stitched mine on 14 count perforated paper. I chose to go with a white perforated paper. Kathy used one of the browns. I don't know how well you can see. And then she didn't fill in the background. She left it as the brown, but I didn't want all those holes showing. So I chose to go with the white, and then I filled in the background. I used one of the colors, 842 is what I used. It was one of the called for light browns. It wasn't in any of the designs I chose in an area that would be a problem. So I used 842. And then on these two, the whale and the anchor, because they're kind of underwater, I went with 964, which was the lighter of the blue. That's also the color I used for these hangers. So that way, I made sure I picked, like I had stitched the whale and I was gonna stitch one more and I'm like, well, he'll be the only one that's blue. So I stitched the anchor with the fish so that it's also underwater. I cut my perforated paper big enough that I could stitch 4 of them on there at once, just because it was a little easier to hold. So I just counted over, you know, I counted over a couple and then I counted 17 and then 2 or 3 in between and then 17 more, right? You can see I left myself plenty of room this way. I was a little tight up here. I had to go right to the edge. So I just cut these out now that they're all done. When I finish threads on perforated paper, I try to always, like I didn't right here, I'm gonna have to deal with this little tail. So when I cut it, that tail is gonna be sticking out over the edge. I try and end them so that my thread is on the inside. So I'm just gonna go right along. You can kind of see here on the top where I ran out of room. You want to leave, like you've stitched in this hole, then you leave this white section in between. So when I cut these, I'll be cutting right in these holes to leave this white, because if you don't leave that white, then all your stitches are going to come out. So I like to cut mine so that all the little ridges are gone. That's personal preference. Some people don't mind the little ridges. I don't want them there. So I'm just going to go around all of them. I have these little snips that I like, but you could use regular scissors, just whatever you have. And I'm just going to cut around 2. We'll get 1 out. So there's 1, and then here's what I was talking about. See all those little bumps on the top? I'm going to come in and cut all those out, and I'm going to do it over here because they're messy. There. So that way I have all the little bumps cut off, but I still have that white line. So I will take one of these. This is the one that, no, it's not. So I have 3 blues and 1 white left, and I don't think it matters what I put on what. I don't have any preference. So this is just like attaching the Foxwood Crossing sleds or the Lizzie Kate sleds, if you've done any of those. I like to use Stitchery Tape. It's an acid-free tape. I'm just going to peel this up. This right here is kind of bent over from the last time I did it, so I'm going to cut a strip off so I have a nice clean edge. I usually have a piece of scrap paper over there to put my bits on. Oh, now you're going to come up here and make a mess? Thanks, Emmy. All right. So right in that top corner, I'm going to take my stitched piece so that I'm looking at the front and I'm taping on the back, and I'm just going to lay it right there in that top corner. So it's right on the tape. And then I'm going to come in and kind of lift up a little bit, because you can kind of you know, you can kind of get under it. And I'm gonna snip it off so that I'm kind of snipping right underneath. Just so a lot of the tape doesn't show. And then I'm gonna do the same thing with this extra bit. I'm just gonna come in there and snip it off. Stick it on my scrap. And then the only thing I need to be careful of is if I did have any of those threads that were sticking out, just to make sure I cut them off so that you can't see them. And then I'm literally just gonna put this on like a sticker. I'm squishing it on there so I know it's good and on. Peel off the back. Grab one of these, line it up and stick it down. Now from doing these other ones, I know that where these holes are is just about the width of this. And I'm just eyeballing these. And I'm sorry that you can't quite see, and here comes Emmy. Oh, she went for my water. Of course she did. Thought I was safe up here. So I am just lining that up as best as I can. You can kind of still move it a little before you push it down. It looks good to me. It looks nice and even. And once I have it where I want it, I just really kind of use my thumbs and push it down. And I'm done. Ta-da! These, I figured, it takes a little extra time to stitch in the background, but the finishing could not be quicker. You're making stickers and sticking them down. Honestly, if you had one of those, the journals that people like, you could make stitched stickers for your journal. So that's all I did. Like I said, I alternated with the colors. You don't have to use cording. You could use ribbons, baker's twine, you know, whatever you have that you liked the look of. So that is it. I'm going to finish these last three, and then I'll put them on my tree, and like I said, I'll probably take a video or some pictures and insert them here at the end. So that is all there was to it with these. I'll have all the links in the description box, and I'll see you guys later. Bye. All right, here is my finished tree. So this is the tree from Hirschner's that is still available. And it comes in 3 parts that you just screw together. I just hung them on there. I could stitch more if I wanted more, it would fit them. Or I could do like some seashells or some other summery things to kind of hang up there with them. And there's Emmy. She is needy today, folks. And there you have it. It's still February, but I'm ready for summer.